Here live once again. This is the fifth already. I think it is the fifth or fourth or fifth live IndyCar Red Pill. Got a very stacked guest. Turns out when you have live broadcast that's watched by thousands of people, lots of people want to sign up for it. So
and
we got
pay
some
us money
and pay and get them Steak and Shake. So we do have a couple new guests here, and returning to YouTube is Mr.
Fifth time, maybe?
Yeah, returning to YouTube for the fifth time is Mr. Diecastreviews, who has not done a video in quite a while. So what are you promoting, sir, today?
Actually, my last video was like 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, on Matthias List. And
Oh, that's right. I did see that.
yeah, but I want to say I feel like Mark Martin coming back and leaving, and it's great.
And you actually have a business, correct?
Yes, I do. IndyRacingImages.com, official sponsor, Winvalve 8820.
And we've got a WinVal. Wow, the chat has blown up already. Hello,
Oh,
chat.
yeah, someone said you were. Someone's glad that we're here because apparently you're boring.
Oh, well, that's fine. Fair enough. Who said that?
Throwing
Who
shade.
said that? I'm going to ban you. Anyway,
Oh, I'll do it.
speaking of boring, we've got Kevin Rollins here.
Boring. That's
from the Dalecast.
That's an antonym, I think. Wait, is that the right one? Yeah.
So good you brought him back to the
So good,
Why?
so good. We brought him back
Three for Dale.
from yesterday, so you know who that is. And then we've got SteveK51. You may know him on YouTube, but he got banned. So
No, I still have the channel.
Oh, okay.
I still almost have 1,000 subscribers, but yeah, I can't be posting IndyCar videos of the races anymore.
Those bleepers.
You know.
yeah. He got in trouble. Somehow I've not gotten in trouble yet. I don't know why.
Smithfield.
So we're all going to talk about the second, I guess third practice, second official day of Indy 500 testing. So just real quick, running down the fast times, because ultimately it's not really all that important in the current era of drafting and whatnot.
Well,
To a certain extent.
I mean, it isn't singularly, like in singles, but when you clump them all together and you look at who's consistently fast.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, I want to say real fast before we get into this, save all your questions for the end.
Yep.
We have a
Yes.
specific Q&A time.
Yeah, right at the end of the thing, we'll give about 10-15 minutes to open up the floor to questions. So Marco Andretti was fastest at 227.0 miles an hour. Scott Dixon was second at 226. Then Sato, Wickens were also in that 226 bracket. That was your top four. Fifth, Charlie Kimball, first car in the 225 bracket, 225.8. Then we got Pagano, Kanan, Chavez, Carpenter, all in 225 bracket, and then bringing up, finishing up the top 10 is Oriol Servia at 224.9.
You're looking at the wrong thing. You're looking at the combined for both days.
That's fine.
And
No.
So, actually,
and you really should be looking at the no-toe speeds.
yeah.
We
okay.
can't. We don't have access to that.
I
so
do.
That's the
Yeah,
problem.
we both do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tony.
Well, no,
Khan's
this is the
fastest.
official. This is the official for practice 3. Do we have the no toe speeds?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but you're looking at the combined from yesterday and today.
this is okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, because the fastest.
IndyCar.com is not very well laid out. If you
Okay,
didn't know already.
So it was Andretti, Dixon, Sato, Wickens, Kimball, then Tony Kanaan, who coincidentally has the fastest no-toe speed of a 223.0. Then we have Chavez, Carpenter, Servia, and Karam rounding out your top 10.
But what we really want to talk. Well, I guess let's talk about a few notables real quick. Obviously, where's Danica ultimately in this right now?
12th.
12th. So
With a top speed of 224.5.
So we're right here at day 2 in Danica's mid pack, and that's kind of I think where we would have expected her to be.
And she was 25th on the no-toe.
And 25th on the Noto. So, but again, I think she's building up speed, and honestly, there wasn't a lot of time for no-toe speeds today.
Now, there was that one really weird period where everybody seemed to have went to lunch around midday.
Well, but the people who went out were like Clayman DeMello and
Daly.
and those are the guys who are in danger of being bumped anyway.
Yeah.
So, but speaking of that, let's talk about the guys who are in danger of being bumped. You read the practice for today, and then I'll read the combined ones because I think that's actually going to be fairly relevant.
I'm going to read the last 5 on the top speeds of all from 35th to 30th, so I'm going to do it reverse. So in 35th, we have Zachary Clayman DeMello with a 221.8, and he was not much better than the Noto with a 30th place. Then you have Graham Rahal in 34th, which is a little bit shocking, but he really did not turn that many laps.
Andy's 17th on the no-toe, so...
Yeah, so
right, he's right there.
And then James Davidson is 33rd, and he was also 33rd on the Noto. You have Stephen Wilson in 32nd, and he was 32nd on the Noto. And then on 31st place, you have Connor Daly, who was a 222.6, but he was dead last on the Noto. And then finally you have Sebastian Bourdais in 30th with a 223.1, but however, he was third on the Noto list. And then in 29th we had Hinchcliffe, then we had Kaiser, Jones, and Veach. And Veach would be in 26th spot.
So it's fairly interesting to look at that list. We've got some big names back there. And well, of course, again, Noto lists kind of screw this up because I believe Bourdais is way up near the front of the Noto
Yeah, he's
times.
third on the Noto.
So it's kind of fascinating, and that kind of I think that tells the tale more than anything about what we've kind of witnessed here in the first couple of days, especially today, because there was at one point 31 cars on the track, I think.
28.
28. So
And they were all mostly in a pack.
there was 31 in the pit lane. There was 28 on track.
Okay, so there was actually in happy hour a big pack, but the only guy who was not in the pack all day was Tony Kanaan.
Yes, and this is something that I think is going to play into what goes on this weekend, because Kanaan seems to be working on qualifying when everybody else is working on race setup. So is that a good strategy? Is it a bad strategy? We're going to have to wait and see on that one.
In my opinion, from what we're seeing so far with this new car, that's not the way to do it, because the last 3 years, the winner came from like the third row or back.
Yep.
It's been that way for a long time.
Sato was the first to win out of the first 3 rows since 2011.
Yeah, with
2011.
So I think this new car is gonna. We don't know how it's gonna race, and I do think that Kanaan's being smart about it though, because
well, he's not going to get caught up when they crash, because they're going to crash eventually.
Too,
Okay.
he has Thursday tomorrow for practice to work on qualifying, Friday to work on qualifying with boost, and then Monday and Friday. So Monday and carb day to work on race setup, and they also have Least and Davison to throw notes for race
And
setup.
Davison
as well.
was pounding around today. He really turned a lot of laps. I don't know exactly where he was, but he had to be up towards the top. Steve, you had
I
something to
thought
say.
he was
while
towards the back.
He was. He
in
was
terms of
33rd.
laps turned, really?
Laps
No,
turned.
on speed.
No, speed. Yeah. He was. Well, my point was he's pounding around, probably
Actually,
working on a race setup.
Davidson was actually towards the back on laps turn as well with only
Really?
74.
That surprised me. It
So-
seemed like he was always out there.
So do you think Leist is the race setup guy, quote unquote?
No,
Well-
they've been behind the 8 ball on that one.
I'm just wondering, the Foyt cars usually don't show up on race day. Are
Yeah.
they focusing on qualifying, trying to get the big headline for their sponsors on pole day,
Yeah.
and then whatever happens in the race happens?
I
Or-
think they're putting a lot of faith in Kanaan, because ultimately what he's doing is they're going to try to steal a pole with Kanaan. I think Kanaan's got all of his engineering talent from Ganassi from last year and a couple of years prior. So
Well,
I figure they're going to throw all the eggs in the pole basket and then just hope TK can hang on to it for
Is
200
it
laps on Sunday.
Also, that kind of deal where it may be insurance. Like, since there is going to be bumping this year, they want to make sure they're good and in the field on Saturday, so
there's-
that way
I don't
they
think
don't
there's a-
have to worry on Sunday.
Okay.
I don't think there's enough cars to worry about that. I mean,
So-
sure, if you're
Enough cars who are affected.
I would say, I mean, you're locked in if you're in the Fast 9, but there's almost, unless there's some really wacky weather on Saturday, there's almost zero chance that cars
And-
would get bumped out on Sunday, and certainly not up to 10th place. I mean,
So,
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. It's
on the
like,
terms of bump, oh, good.
that, from what I remember, the Foyt cars are usually mid-pack, like 20th, 25th, usually.
Well,
And,
good. Carlos Munoz got a top 10 last year, and that was kind of a unique result for
It's that
Foyt in the
kind of
modern
thing
era.
We don't
that was
know
kind
what's
of
gonna
hanging
happen.
in there and just working your way forward as
Yeah,
other
yeah.
people stumbled.
Yep.
Which I'm just curious to see, because it's going to be one of those things like maybe they have something up their sleeve already. Maybe they finally hit a note. Maybe for all we know, this could be his race setup. Who knows?
Okay, so I wanted to bring this point up for qualifying. The car qualifies, and I actually think this is going to
Yeah.
be a factor. The
This
car
is a big
qualifies, not the driver. We've seen that in the past. Like the most recent example is 2011 with Hunter Ray,
Yeah.
how he ended up in a Foyt car with DHL sponsorship. So it could realistically happen, and the best example is that what I personally think is going to happen is Bourdais going to qualify the 19 car.
That's well.
How do
You
you think
can't
of
you
that?
can't
No.
qualify. You can't have a driver qualify 2 cars though. That's the thing.
Right.
Really?
So-
No,
I
you
did
can't
not
do
know
that. That's
Well-
well. Here's real quick, Brody. I want to explain this because I want to just be sure to clarify what it means when a car qualifies at Indianapolis. It means the entry qualifies. So let's say car number 19 qualifies with Zachary Clayman DeMello. If they wanted to make a driver change for some reason, say Ryan Briscoe wants to jump in the car, he could do that legally. Car's still in the race. but it has to start in 33rd spot. If a team has to go to a backup car, now they've been lax on this rule in the past few years. I can think of at least Kurt Busch that went to a backup car and didn't have to start from the back. That was a bit BS, by the way. But the rule generally is if you have to go to a backup car, or I believe even change engines these days, you have to go start at the back of the field because, again, it's the car that qualifies in Indy, and if you make changes, you got to go to the back.
Just about everybody changes engines. I don't think that's.
Well, I mean, if you pop one on carb day, though, are they going to penalize you for that?
I don't think so.
Did
I
it in
think-
2015 or 16 or something. He did it. In
Okay, fair enough. Well, then let's be even more clear on that.
So-
It was last year
Yeah.
because his engine blew in carb day.
The
Yeah,
chassis qualifies in Indy, meaning the tub. So if they have to replace the tub, the car is out, or not out of the field, but at the back of the field.
So then let me ask
If
you
you're
this,
not
right?
Kurt Busch.
Or if you don't. And here's another thing that could possibly happen because it happened, I think, for last time in '86. Is if a team does not have a backup or not have access to a backup, if their car is knocked out in carburation practice or Monday, we could end up with a first alternate. So somebody who misses the show could theoretically
Make the show.
be
Actually-
allowed back into the field.
Well, so you're kind of, partial credit talking about how in 2010, when Saavedra went
This
out,
is a big part
pounded
of the
the
rule,
wall, Tracy went back out even though he was solidly in the field.
Pulled the timeout, went through the
Ninth
time.
row, and Tracy wasn't fast enough to go. So then the wrecked car of Saavedra that was surely being put on the hauler to be taken back was like, no, you're in.
Yeah, they were in.
You made it.
So yeah, that's another thing that can happen. Not only can we have the Indianapolis 500 qualifying, and this is the kind of funny thing because I remember the Rain Race podcast was talking about how confusing this is. I'm like, people have been bitching about the Indy 500 qualifying procedure for at least 50 years. It's always going to be complicated to a certain extent. Just know that most of the time when strange things pop up, there will be an explanation somewhere going on. So,
Which is funny because, relatively speaking, it was more straightforward in the past. It's only
yeah,
more
it's
recent
even more
systems that have
complicated
come.
now, yeah.
To add to the Clayman DeMello thing, so
Clayman da back row.
whatever. Is
Clayman da bubble.
Clayman de Lastro, whatever the hell is
Clam shadow.
So let's say
clam chowder to marshmallow.
he doesn't have speed
Yeah.
in that car. Could they take some of the numbers, like the shock cover and the rear wing from Bourdais' car, slap it on there and say that's or vice versa?
Well, that they could
So
do.
take the 19 wing and the 19 shock cover, put it on
I'm
the 18,
pretty
and
sure
have
they
Bourdais
checked the
go out.
chassis number.
Because that's the thing, it's just like when it gets down to the nitty gritty of it, how sneaky can the teams be? to
I'm
get-
pretty sure IndyCar checks the chassis number in 10.
Yeah,
Well,
but
and the
remember
other-
back
the
in the
other-
day when 6T, 9T,
Yeah.
20T would make it,
Yeah.
and
Well, and they still draw for the T cars in
Yeah, which is why there's
qualifying,
always
even
like
though there
60
isn't
There's
T
not a whole
cars.
lot of T cars in Gasoline Alley right now.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
problem I see is the way they line up all of the cars in order to go through tech. That you'd
Yeah.
have to do either way. You'd have to put the car through with Clayman DeMello, go do the run, rip it apart, and then put Bourdais through tech,
yeah.
or vice versa.
And it's one of those things, like I mean, I have my two picks. I think we all here have our two picks of who's not going to make the show. And whoever it is, I don't think has much backup plan.
No,
Backup.
no. I don't think there's a lot you can do because again, this is kind of one of the flaws with the 2-day system, especially when it's reversed, where the bump day is day one. You don't have a lot of recovery time.
No.
If you struggle on one day, you're done. Back in the past, if you struggled on pole weekend, you had a whole week to prepare the car. And try to get it in the second weekend, and even more recently, the late 2010s, we had the first day qualifying which is pole day. There were several iterations of that, but ultimately the idea was the same. Was if you weren't fast enough to make the show, or felt like you were safe enough to make the show, you could come back on bump day and have a whole nother 7 hours to try to get it in the show. Now this is weird because assuming it doesn't rain, this is going to be our first real look at this qualifying format, which debuted in 2014, with the idea of more entertainment for the TV contracts because of the fact that we were looking at possibly 33, maybe less entries for the foreseeable future. Thankfully, IndyCar has kind of bounced back to a certain extent, and there's been some value found, so we have more entries, and now we're going to find out how badly they've screwed things up, because Steve and I were talking about this, the potential that we're going to have a bit of controversy with the last chance qualifier session that's a provision in the rule.
Which,
Yeah.
at least this year, we'll have at least two people going at it.
Well, but the thing
Well,
is
more like 4.
depending on who's sitting in 34th or 35th at the end of Saturday, say Danica or Ed Carpenter or Joseph Newgarden, if they were 34th or 35th.
The only way that's going to happen is if they bin it.
Well, think of
Well, then all of a sudden the caveats are going to start coming out that we need to twist the rules.
Yeah, what they got a bad ECU. They had that's kind of the new
someone
pop-up.
had a bad engine.
Well, someone had a bag fly in the radiator.
Yeah, that's the Montoya thing. They gave him an extra attempt 2 years ago. So
then it's a game of how many drivers do you put on that list of we can't have them not be in the
I
race.
said this to you in private, and I'll say it here. It's the leader circle people. That's who's going to get it. So
let's be honest.
So the Indy only guys, I say for Danica and Elio, I'd say there's probably the 2 exceptions. But at JR Hildebrand, they're going to be left on the outside looking in.
Like if Pippa and Connor are sitting on the outside,
Nobody's
is
not
Connor really gonna twist?
Pippa might get some concessions. Connor probably would too because he's got the family connection.
Let's say Clayman DeMello and
Davison.
Or even Mateus Lease.
Or Lease, but he's a leader circle guy. You've got to look at the Indy only guys.
Alright, so Davison and I mean it's like that kind of thing. We literally have no idea what's going to happen until Saturday, and that scares me, but it also makes me feel good.
Well,
I like the excitement, but I don't like going into it thinking if Hinch screws up in morning practice on Saturday, he might not be in the show.
They're going to make it, but here's the thing: we're predicting they're going to make every provision to get Hinchcliffe in the show because they know he needs to be there.
I mean, and how long did it take Carpenter to build a brand new car after he crashed his first primary?
All of an hour.
Yeah.
No.
I will say this. I know if me and David were running the show, no exceptions.
Like,
Like
1995.
That's what it should be.
1995, enough said.
Yeah. So personally, if I was running a show, Joseph Newgarden but crashes in morning warm up, and they can't get the car ready for whatever reason. Sorry, the one car's not on the show. The defending series champ doesn't make the race.
That was the example I made in the 36 car video, which turned out to be 35 because Buddy didn't show up. But
he's here in spirit.
But theoretically speaking, in terms of the way the rules are written, let's say it's Danica and Elio. 2 of your big returning stars could be the ones out of the show for whatever reason. It could be mechanical, could be an accident, could be anything.
Okay, I want to address this one. They're not gonna. Okay, the tires that they qualify on, you realize that there's 2 more days of practice. Well, technically, you have the Monday and then carb day.
Well, that's actually a rule. They impound the tires that they qualify on and they race on them.
Okay.
Yes.
That's
been a rule for years, since the 70s, I think.
I misread that.
Yeah.
Actually, on the subject of.
So that's something that I believe, real quick, I believe I know that why that question came up. It's because NASCAR just implemented a rule where you can change the tires before the race start. And honestly, it's probably going to make the group qualifying more interesting. So honestly, I don't have a problem with it. But anyway, go on.
So on the subject of what we're the qualifying and people getting bumped and the provisionals and all that, I mentioned it. It happened in 1995 where Team Penske didn't make the show.
Yes. That's the most famous example by far.
The Johansson car came in and knocked out Emo.
Here's the funny, ironic part about that.
Here is then, also going back to the 2-day format, we can't. So if
you know what I want to say.
Well, I think so.
If, like back in the day, people who don't know, long and short of it, Penske had their own car, Benz engines.
Yep.
Well, yes. Yeah. Well, here's the thing about the Johansson car. They had entered a 94 Penske in the show. Oh. They had switched to a 94 Reynard who they bought from...
I don't remember who.
Maybe it wasn't Pagan.
Arciero.
Was it Arciero?
I think it was.
Okay, well they found their way into a 94 Reynard, which clearly, actually, the 94 Reynard, if you don't know how potent that car was, it was the car that currently holds the track record. So it was a potent race car. So they bumped Emerson Fittipaldi out of the field, and he was really the only one who got up to speed that year. Allister Jr. was nowhere. The defending winner of the race.
The thing I wanted to mention was how, with the 4-day format, Penske was really able to screw around. I mean, they borrowed cars from
several, and Pagan Racing.
Now, actually, fun fact with that, for those who don't know, Ray Hall offered him a shut-up sheet, and Penske said, nope.
Yeah,
we're going to rip the cars apart and put them together in the Penske way, and then they made them slower.
So we can't see that kind of deal again where, let's say, Burns isn't fast enough with the 17, so Dale Coyne says, hey, here's the 18. Here's the tub, here's the engine, do what you need to do.
Well,
or whatever the case would be.
The reason for that is because of the engine leases. We touched on this yesterday. Is that there are what 6 or 7 backup chassis sitting in Gasoline Alley without engines, and they're legally obligated not to put engines in them. Yeah. So it's It's a bit sad, but that's the way things are right
I
now.
think,
Until there's a customer engine, we'll never
if
ever
they kind of
have
needed
fun.
a free-for-all again, I think that would make qualifying a lot more interesting.
Oh yeah.
Well, here's the thing that I've said is that IndyCar needs to take a page from IMSA, and they need to have a customer engine that's not associated with a badge like the Gibson. They need to have a Gibson style engine, and of course IndyCar has always had that in the past with the Cosworth. That was never a badged engine. There was times where Ford had more factory involvement than they, I'm not talking about the Ford Cosworth. I'm talking about the Cosworth DFV
This
and
one?
That went through about 1990, and then then they focused on the XB after that, 92.
So-
Yeah, and the XB was the Ford, but prior to that, it was the Cosworth engine, which was a turbocharged version of the engine that was first used in Jim Clark's '65 Lotus. So there was that engine had a lot of history, but anyone could buy a Cosworth, anybody could work on a Cosworth. And anybody could tear a Cosworth down. You didn't need a Cosworth representative there telling you, well, we can't touch that, or we need to hook up our computer and tell you what's wrong with it.
And
No,
of course, the last thing I really wanted to mention with qualifying coming up is back to 2013 with Michel Jourdain. Do you think we're going to see anybody at all not be able to get enough speed and they're just going to say hell with it and go home?
field looks too close right now. I think the field looks too close. I think.
But we'll see on Friday too. 'Cause
Well,
and also it is that whole deal where it is a new car and everyone's kind of
the new Aero kit.
Yeah, sorry, new Aero kit, and everyone's kind of starting from page one in a way, but some people, and it's that kind of thing like, who knows.
So there's 132 people watching, only 38 likes. Let's change that. Anyway,
I'll just have to plug yourself.
I had to, but I did want to say about the. So I think the only way we're going to see a situation like Jourdain's, because Jourdain's was actually because the chassis was actually faulty. It was broken, I believe.
Yeah.
So he couldn't physically get the car up to speed.
Yeah, even
I think.
Ray Hall got in that thing and couldn't get it over
Yeah,
218.
yeah. They put everybody. I think even Serbia got in it too, because I believe Serbia was the other teammate. So they tried everything and they couldn't get it up to speed. But the unless somebody really has a big crash, I don't see anybody just throwing the towel in. I think if Buddy had shown up and just not been able to get up to speed, I think they probably would have thrown in the towel. But looking at the field right now, there's 35 full teams there trying to qualify. They all have a full staff. They all seem to be well funded to a certain extent, at least for the month of May. So I think you've got as close of a field. And again, we just don't know who's good. We really don't. We can say, oh well, Kyle Kaiser because he's a rookie and
We
he's trying
can
to.
pick favorites on who's going home.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at this bottom 10. You look at this bottom 10 right here. So from 25 on the combined results, you got Pippa Mann, Zach Veach, Ed Jones, Davison, Kaiser, Hinchcliffe, Bourdais, Daly, Wilson, Ray Hall, Clayman, DeMello.
And
You've got a couple that could surprise on there that we wouldn't have expected to be down there, and they
half
are.
of those guys, whenever I've asked anyone who's not making the show, at least I'd say all but maybe Jones. Everyone has said those are going home.
Wow.
And it's like, it's that thing where we don't know, but I'll say by the end of Friday, I think we'll have a pretty clear-cut picture. of
Okay,
what's
so
Yeah, but I still think there's the opportunity that it's going to be a surprise, at least for one of the cars that
yeah,
doesn't make
like
it.
we think the 19 and then maybe the 10, maybe the. Well, I don't
Oh,
know.
there's no. I don't think there's
I think the
any
10's
way
gonna
that.
make it.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it'll make it. That's why I said I don't think
That's
there's
just
any way.
I have
There's just too
two
much
com-
opportunity for something completely unforeseen to happen, and then someone goes home.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
two comments I want to respond to real fast. Veach, he has too much money behind him to go home. At the very least, he's probably going to kick Davidson out of his
Yeah,
ride.
anybody in an Andretti car, if they miss a show, they're buying their
And
way
then
back
Pippa
in.
looks actually mildly solid right
Pippa
now.
will be all right because Bourdais got a good no-toe speed. He's third on the charts, as we've said
Pippa,
previously.
Again, guys, remember the tub qualifies, so we could possibly see Veach in the 33 car with Group 1000.
Or we could see him in a coin car.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's
like-
there's a lot of
I mean,
possibilities.
Or Wilson
It is
gets
that
bumped
kind of
again.
deal
Or
where-
Wilson gets bumped, yeah.
Like, I feel like it's going to be that kind of deal where Sunday night, we'll all go to bed and we'll wake up on Monday morning ready for one of the final practices, and that's when everything will come to light of what's going on.
And can I just
Or-
say, real quick, how great is it that we have something to analyze and talk about? Like, this has been missing for so long at
Yeah,
Indianapolis.
I mean, we can sit here and have an entire rundown
Okay.
on qualifying.
Yeah.
Like the
So-
upcoming qualifying that hasn't even happened yet.
And this is why a lot of us, I think all four of us are hardcore fans. We're beating this drum like you can't start 35. You
Yeah,
cannot do it because
I know.
this drama is what makes Indianapolis Indianapolis. Again, it's the only race you have to qualify for, the only major one anyway, obviously. You exactly
Yeah, I was going to say,
But
little 500.
you have to qualify on merit for this race, and it makes it so much more
And-
difficult because if you win it, you've not only beat the 33 guys in the show, but you've beaten the guys who didn't even make it.
Yeah, and to add on to that, us IndyCar fans who've really been watching for years and years and years, we're on our hands and knees begging and praying until our knees bled for this to happen. And this is why, because qualifying is supposed to be exciting, it's supposed to be nail-biting, and now 2011 was the last one where I stood there with my hands over my face oh my gosh.
Oh, well, one of the
Other
greatest
races about to
moments
get
ever.
bumped.
Okay.
One of the greatest moments ever was Buddy Lazier bumping his way, for me anyway.
In
was
2008?
in 2008.
In
Yeah.
2011.
Check this
Okay,
out.
that
You'll be seeing a video on this later.
I wanted to, once he finishes his point, I wanted to discuss some things with the car for Fast Friday.
I had one more thing.
Oh
to
yeah, this
throw
is
on.
actually fairly interesting. So
I have one thing
finish your
to-
thing and then
Um,
let him talk.
And of course, just add on to your great qualifying moments. 2011 when Tracy wasn't in the show and he went out in
Qualified
the
in the rain.
rain
Yeah.
and did it.
Yeah.
Oh
It
yeah.
was solidly.
Can I
And
interject
Danica
too?
Patrick
Yeah,
was
go
shooting
for it.
bricks.
Let's
Yeah.
let Steve add one.
Yeah, I'm a big Eddie Cheever fan, so everyone talks about 95, but I go
Really?
back to 19.
Really?
Yeah,
Press F
Okay.
to
I go back to
tear
1993 when
Uh-huh.
Cheever got in the Menard car and he knocked out Bobby Rahal to make the race, and Bobby was the reigning series champion.
Yep.
And he just watched it on the couch like everyone else. He didn't buy his way in.
Yeah, and that's something that I think the people that get knocked out, I'm so hoping they're sportsmen about it. I do not want to see people buy their way into this thing because it's just going to add
to
this.
see a 2011 because look at everyone else who didn't make the show. What Saavedra, Marias, I think.
There was
Matos. I think.
Matos missed it, yeah.
Conway, who won
Conway.
Long Beach, who won
Yeah,
the
all
second
these
most
people
important race on the schedule.
Who sat on the sidelines well, that sucks. Ready for the next race. But then you had DHL and Sundrop who bought Hunter Ray the 41 car, kicked out Bruno Jonquera who actually had one.
And it was the second time in 3 years he'd been kicked out of his seat, by the way. That's just...
Yeah, well, I mean, from what I remember, he was at least 15th.
So...
He qualified pretty solid.
So Kevin wanted to discuss some things because I know a lot of people here, or at least me personally, we're big fans of the aero kits. So there are, despite the fact that it's a spec aero kit, there are some areas that the teams can experiment on to get some speed out of the car. So let's have Kevin discuss those real quick.
Okay, so for this I'm gonna have to get close to the camera.
It's okay.
So here we have the UAK18. Some places that they can experiment with are the diffuser, and the casting is based off of the original car that ran last July. So now the diffusers are pretty wide open back here, as in this channel right here is gone. Also, they are adding wickers to the flick right here.
That's an
little
optional
wicker.
piece.
Again, you can play with the air kits a little bit.
Yeah, gurney flap.
But I also want to point out one thing. The common belief is that the rear wing is not adjustable. It is, and it's actually molded here on the green light piece, if you look really closely right here, that the whole rear wing assembly will tilt back. Now, in previous years, it was just the main plane that tilted. However, it's the whole piece. Now, generally, you lose, you lose so many pounds of downforce every degree you go back, and the wings can tilt back 5 degrees at the maximum currently. I know and this is from a crew member, so that in previous years every degree you took off, you could lose up to 500 pounds of downforce. Well, now it's only about 250 pounds per degree. So either way, you lose less downforce every degree you go back, but you can't go back so many degrees.
Yep.
And you can also adjust the front wing up here a little bit.
And there's some wickers that can go on the front wing as well.
Yes,
So
and on the back as well.
And here's kind of the most significant part in terms of custom built parts. There are some areas that the teams have been allowed to completely go their own ways, and it's right. Let's see, right here. There's a little hole. The radiator inlets that are now on the side pod, they used to be up here at the airbox. That's why the airbox is gone, by the way. So teams block this off to gain speed, but also since your radiators need to be cooled, you have to allow the air to get in there.
So-
Some teams have added
Think of it like tape
Yeah.
on the grill in NASCAR.
yeah, tape on the grill in NASCAR. I think a lot of people will understand that reference. However, there are several different ways to do this. I've seen the Chevy teams have a hole in the center and then carbon fiber surrounding it. I've seen the Andretti Autosport cars actually run, asymmetrical ways
that's
of doing
still
it.
around.
They've actually blocked off an entire side of the radiator and then very, very small radiator inlets on the other side of the car. So there's a lot. This is probably the one major aerodynamic thing that the teams can still do by themselves. And again, that's going to be something I'll try to tomorrow to get some photos of that to try to see what the different configurations of cars. When I was down on the grid at the Indy GP, that was one of the first things I noticed. Was I started looking in the side pods of the cars. I noticed how different the solutions were to things. So again, it's a spec series, but it's not a spec series.
So the thing about it is, the changes to the cars, like in the AeroKit era, that you could actually see the changes, like the rabbit ears, for the Chevys with the smooth pods, even Penske with that, with sort of like what they were configuring with this, where they'd have the channels still, but still have the smooth pods.
Well, the changes were very obvious to the naked eye in the
And
AeroKit era.
you really have to pay attention to fine detail, like we do, and like some of you guys do, to really notice it. You know, the diffuser was something that I was very curious about.
I thought it was a spec part. This is something that's kind of been a misconception, is that everybody thought it was controlled.
Robert Wickens was playing with the diffuser during the testing, and actually he lost part of the diffuser on the back straightaway, which caused a caution.
And that was inside IndyCar with Jan Beekes, presented by United Rentals.
We are not sponsored by
Actually, it was inside IndyCar, presented by David Land's Red Pill, featuring Jake Blues.
Something about
Close
that.
enough.
Nice. It works.
So do we have? Okay, let's finish this by kind of our observations after day 2 about what we're going to think the quality of the racing is, because I think that's another big question with this new aero kit and the way, you know, it's going to change. I believe, personally, and from what we've heard from the drivers, I believe you've talked to a few of them, or maybe Kevin has. It was your brother. I was thinking of. But we've heard some things that they do drive fundamentally different in some respects. So, Steve, what do we think? What are we expecting, or at least what are you expecting? You know, what have you seen, and what are you expecting coming into this Indy 500?
Well, I mean, you know, looking at the practice yesterday, it seemed like the Andretti guys were able to follow each other really close, and Dixon and Elio as well. Today, I felt like the rest of the field was a little better, like they could follow each other a little closer, but it's still haves and have-nots, and you know, there's only so many days of practice.
Yeah.
We'll see. You know, it might be the Andrettis that are able to move through traffic as they feel, and they're, you know.
And I'll tell you, 2 of those cars that looked very, very stable in traffic were Marco Andretti and Carlos Munoz.
Mm-hmm.
2 cars that could just flat-foot it through the corners and pass cars, and that's at a premium. I think it's going to be very difficult to pass. Kevin, what are you observing?
I've noticed the last couple of days there's been a lot of teamwork, and we're getting to the time where teamwork isn't going to do anything for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to a certain extent, that is. We've seen a lot of the Andretti Armada, the Penske Brigade, even Ed Carpenter's little thing.
The caboose.
Yeah. Well, actually, wouldn't that be the B team of Coin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, and even SPM, I almost called them SMP, but SPM with their train of cars. But honestly, if I were the drivers and teams, I would start focusing on single car runs. Like Andretti was experimenting with this afternoon.
There were a few cars that went out.
They were actually doing qualifying sims where Hunter would do 4 laps, and then as soon as he was on his final lap, they'd send the next guy.
Mm-hmm.
Because when it comes to qualifying, anything can happen theoretically, and your teammates are not going to help you that much when it comes down to qualifying.
No.
You won't have that train of cars to help you get to the top like Marco had today.
Your teammates especially won't help you if you draw first in the line, because you're the guinea pig. You're going to go out there and not know.
And by the way, if your name is Marco Andretti and Reinhard Ray is next to you near the bubble, he ain't going to help you for sure because of flashbacks.
Yeah. So Brody, what you know, you've had limited observation time, but what do you think so far?
So the first thing I noticed, and we talked about this at dinner, was how the cars are going much lower on the front straightaway. So let me explain this for the people watching at home. What I mean is, with the DW12 and the AeroKit and even the old IROH, they run in the middle of the track, so like dead center. But now they're kind of getting down further on the down closer to the wall. But the passes looks like they're happening earlier out of 4, but it takes longer to get by somebody. And that's the main thing I've noticed. And I have seen some bonsai passes, mainly by some disrespectful drivers. Because it's practice, you don't need to be doing that. We all know who it is, and I'm not going to say who it is. But it's I think it's going to be similar, and I said this at dinner. I think it's going to be a lot like the Xfinity race at Indy, where you have the front two cars just tucked up with each other, kind of waiting. The leader's still going to be the sit and duck, and then you're going to have a whole line behind that are going to be kind of shifting and passing. But I think at least in terms of the race, it's not going to be as much passing, but it's still going to be a damn good show.
Yeah, you're going to have to earn it this year. I think that's kind of the. And I'll tell you what. I said this yesterday. I'll say it again. I think we're going to see. It seems to me when the pack goes out there, we were talking about an accordion effect at dinner tonight, and I don't think it's necessarily an accordion effect, but it does seem like after a couple laps of running in tight traffic, it seems like some cars go off dramatically. The pack breaks up quite quickly. I think we're going to see a very similar. I mean, if there's a late race restart, really, what was that? Katie hold the door. Katie bar the door. Yeah, because it's going to be as wild as we've ever seen. If we're 20 laps in a stint, or there's 2 pit stop cycles between the last yellow and the checkered flag of the race, I think we're going to see a very old style Indy 500 where we could see 2 or 3 guys with a chance that have been able to break away from the rest of the field, and then it's going to be a duel between those guys. I have a feeling that we're going to see lap traffic again. I know Steve is convinced that they're going to black flag everybody who gets lap. But I think we are going to see some traffic, especially if the race goes green for an extended period of time, like we have seen in recent years. I think 2014 at the first 120 laps of the race under green. So if we see that, we could see a really dynamic and strange race. It'll be something. So
actually, I wanted to add something.
Yeah, add something. Go for it.
Since you're talking about 2011 with Marco and Hunter Ray and the guinea pig, the thing to think too is that since Andretti has 6 cars, Penske has 4, Ganassi has 2.
Well, effectively, they realistically have 4, but they kind of have 2.
Yeah,
4,
so
or 2, but 4.
Basically, what I'm saying is that whoever pill draws first on all these teams, I think they're going to say, go try this. You have 3 more attempts. And I think that we are going to kind of see the guinea pig thing like they did with Danica Patrick to get her in 2011, if a team is struggling.
Yeah, and one more thing on the racing, it seems like understeer is a huge problem this year. Huge. Obviously, the front wing is producing most of the aerodynamic downforce, or at least the topside aerodynamic downforce. So when a car follows another one into the corner, especially at high speed, they get quite a big push condition, and that goes to your point of why people are running so low. They're countering for understeer. Yeah. So, traffic is going to be a big key. And again, what's going to happen when they get into lap traffic? Because if a slow car cuts a fast car off, we've seen that in the past. Lost several people in the Indy 500. Al Unser Jr. lost one in '89 with a lap car. Scott Goodyear lost one by a lap car in '92. Then we had Elio lost to a lap car in 2003. So
2015 with Will Power. I think Wilson got in his way on the back.
A little bit, yeah. You're right. But that wasn't nearly as dramatic as
just
the.
One thing I want to add
about
the slick track is there are some drivers that are really good with this, and the one who comes to mind with the slick conditions is Ed Carpenter.
Mm-hmm. Well,
keep
see,
an eye on him.
I wonder if it's a cool day, it's gonna change everything.
But it's in Indiana. It ain't gonna be cool.
Everyone just
gonna
blew up with J.R. Hildebrand.
What about J.R. Hildebrand?
About 2011, how traffic plays an effect.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
Yeah,
I've completely forgotten about that one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Chad. I'm stupid.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually wasn't paying attention there for a second because I was looking.
Well,
at
I was thinking specifically about.
I was thinking Charlie Kimball when you were just talking about traffic getting in the way.
So
that works out perfectly with JR.
I mean, I was thinking of specific examples of like cars coming up on lap traffic in a duel. You know what I mean? Not so much. But okay, we'll open up for questions right now.
Actually,
So
I have a question for everybody in the chat. Who do you guys think will be bumped?
see, now we're not going to be able to read the questions though.
Yeah, because now it's just going.
No, I'm actually cycling through them.
Okay, real quick, we've got Action Express joins the Indy 500.
No.
No,
they're too small.
Well, you could say that about Scuderia Corsa too. I mean,
but they have Ferrari money behind them. Like,
or they have Chevy money behind them. So.
But hey, look at this. I mean, what? 2 sports cars.
Somebody said Donnie Beechler. Big Daddy's Barbecue. Only 90s.
Does Kenny Wallace hate you?
I don't think he necessarily hates me, but we need to have a debate sometime. We're gonna have a debate sometime. I'm gonna get in contact with.
A debate, which is.
Well, I'm gonna try to be respectful, but if Kenny comes on drunk and belligerent, I'm gonna have to beat him down.
That's basically the nice way to.
Somebody says Dennis Vitolo's getting bumped.
Okay, how much pressure is on Hinchcliffe right now, given Wicken's first 2 days of practice?
The pressure's been on since day one. I think
since opening practice at St. Pete.
Yeah, I think
Hinch has been kind of knocked down to the second guy of that team, and
Kinda?
I would say that as a Hinch fan, Hinch is struggling with
Yeah.
this new car. And my theory behind that is it's a new car completely for him. He has to redo his whole
So
driving
say
style,
congratulations on
and
beating
Wickens
Brady.
just has to adapt.
Wickens just jumps right in and it's okay.
And that's my opinion on that. So.
Okay, so I got congratulations for beating Brody in the autograph battle.
Yeah, well, that was.
It's not over yet, right?
No.
It's not over by a long
It's
shot.
not over yet.
Yeah, if you don't,
Even if Hinchcliffe says it's over, I mean,
if you
Okay,
don't
well,
know,
when he wins a race this season, or finishes above 10,
so
then I'll
so these two
Okay.
have decided to emulate Simon Pagenaud and Joseph Newgarden. Then they
Just
had,
the more extremes.
and they're having their own autograph battle, and they're going to crazier lengths. So follow them
Okay,
on
so
social
what's
media. for that.
funny? Should I tell him what the deal that me and Hinchcliffe have?
I don't care.
Okay,
It's,
so
it's his live stream. So.
David, do you care? Or do you think
What are
I
you
should-
asking?
If I should tell him what the deal between me and Hinchcliffe is right now?
We go for it,
Okay.
and I'll look for a question.
So the deal with me and Hinchcliffe right now, and some of you guys are gonna go, "This is the most Kevin thing ever." So I got to sign him if he gets to sign my arm right here, and the deal is, if he wins the Indy 500, I have to get his autograph tattooed right here.
Okay.
Ready signed.
So Samuel Slugga asks, what notable drivers look bad in traffic today? I think that's an interesting question. Did you guys observe that?
Danica.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good.
She cannot pass for shit.
No, she can't. She passed one car legitimately.
But to be on her side, to be on the defensive side of Danica, she has not raced in this drafty, passy kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yet.
No.
That's true.
I she's got a
She comes from
big.
NASCAR. She's not used to passing.
Well, she's got a big learning.
Well,
She's got a big learning.
I would say Simon Pagenaud almost.
Yeah.
I saw
He's
him
another
getting
one.
eaten alive today. Actually, one of the surprises was when the SPM train was with the Penske train, how Harvey was driving away from them.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
around 12:30.
Yeah.
All I know is I was on lunch then.
I'm trying to think. Oh, Servia. Servia's one who does not look good in
Yeah,
traffic.
he's usually that guy who comes in here like, wait, what? You
Yeah.
see him on the top of the chart.
Corday is surprising me that
okay.
he's staying out of traffic.
So-
He's just running around by
I
himself.
think he's being smart. I think
Hey,
I'm a little
he has-
bit worried that we're going to see a multiple car accident.
But he
in
has
some of
3
this.
other guys on the pedestal below him to take the nicks and he
Yeah,
can-
but he's on the record saying he doesn't trust any of them to set up his car for him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
He's pretty much said he's a
the lone
one-car team.
He's the lone wolf trying
I
to
think
figure it out
he'll-
for himself. So
I think he'll take their notes and
Also,
to it.
Yeah.
I want to throw this out there that I've seen a lot of questions about, or well, a few questions of how much do the green light Indy cars cost. The 164s cost $9, and the 118s minus Hinchcliffe cost $65.
And the
Hinchcliffe,
program car.
And
And
they're-
this and the program
and-
car are 75.
Yes.
And just saying, if you can wait,
U.S. dollars.
if you can wait, you can get the cars on eBay or at a few diecast dealers for $60. So if you can wait, if you can resist buying from IndyCar.com because you're going to be spending $85.
Just to prevent
Wait.
this question, because I get this a lot, 164s should be out Friday morning or Friday afternoon. We are expecting a big load tomorrow
And
morning.
like we showed earlier, I'm going to show it again. Big shipment of 118 cars today, and this is the highlight as far as I'm concerned. Best looking car ever.
Oh, here we go. Who's your dark horse for pole?
Ooh,
Robert Wickens.
Wickens is a good choice.
Or-
I would assume a dark horse involves not Penske or Andretti, so I'm going to say Dixon.
What? That's
Well,
a dark
to be fair-
horse.
It's a dark horse this
To
year.
be fair,
No,
Ganassi
it's not.
has been way down
But
here.
so far
all
they've been
month.
pretty good.
Well, actually, you know what? He's not a dark horse because he's second on the combined charts.
So
Yeah.
let's-
I'll look
let's
at this.
say-
Hey,
let's
look-
say Wickens.
I
You know-
say Ed Jones.
I'll say, you know what? I'll say.
Is Ed Carpenter a dark horse?
yeah, that's the name that's
No.
coming to mind for me.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
He's
Carpenter.
a 2-time pole sitter, man. This car, from what I
Well,
hear,
there's
from
too
guys
many.
saying,
There's
You
too
know
many.
what?
There's too many qualifications though. I mean,
I agree with one of them. Tony Kanaan.
is he a
That's
dark?
the thing,
Is he a
though, is-
dark horse though? He's been leading all
yeah.
month
But
long.
when was
you
the
know?
last time he was good at Indianapolis? What, maybe 2013, 2014?
Well, he's been good in terms of racing pretty much every year. It's
Yeah.
qualifying
Okay.
that's been his Achilles heel,
Yeah.
but it doesn't really matter. So
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't
Okay.
matter where you qualify.
Yeah, we know Canal was fast as a known. So who's your pick for winning that is not an Andretti car?
Well, then it's Elio. I think Elio's my pick, period, to win this thing.
Yeah,
Not an
the
Andretti
map.
car. Does it count if it's Marco Andretti?
Because that's an
he's the
Andretti
early
Herta
runner.
car.
He's the early runner.
Please don't pick Marco.
So-
If we can just pretend that Marco doesn't exist, maybe he'll actually win it.
Non-Andretti. I'm gonna
Elio's,
say, you know
Elio's
what?
been looking so racy, and
He
the
is-
map
Jake
says
Howard.
he should win.
Yeah.
And I mean, the last 3
And
or
so,
4 years, he's been right there every time.
And Elio will be racing with a death wish. I
Yeah.
guarantee you. He is not. I'll tell you.
He's practicing like he has a death
Tell
wish.
you
Well, yeah, he won't get passed by Sato like he did. He will put the car in the wall
So
before.
he's either gonna win or he's gonna crash. track.
Absolutely,
Actually,
Uh,
dark horse who's not
150%.
Andretti, Victor winner's not an Andretti. Scott Dixon. I know
Yeah,
we just said he's not a dark horse, but
Yeah.
he's a dark horse because he hasn't won
But
since
the
2008.
thing, I know it's only been what 2 days, 3 days now. He's been consistently fast,
Yeah.
and that's what it takes to win.
And
a
only
fight.
getting
Yeah.
faster too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as with everybody, but he's kind of stayed in the same place while everyone else.
And it's funny,
around
he's kind of
has
quiet too. Nobody's really talking about it,
Yeah,
which is
which
funny.
they should, because he won this race 10 years ago.
Yeah, and I
So-
think he will
God,
do
it's
again.
been 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel old. Okay, so here's one. Do you think it's possible that the reason that Kaiser is struggling so much is the fact that he does not have a teammate?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes,
Absolutely.
and also- okay, so my theory on this is, well, not theory, but my thing is, he's a rookie. The team is only in their second Indy 500.
And they struggled last year with 2 veterans.
Yeah,
So
and
Well,
again,
as a
they don't
fan.
have a bloody armada to try every goddamn
And
thing that
Well,
possible
and
with.
he doesn't have
They do.
anyone to compare with to say, is
No.
this what the car should be doing or not?
it's
Yeah.
if Kaiser makes it, it's going to be a big upset. I think it's going to be one of the great stories of this month of
Yeah,
May.
and that will be one of the things that unfortunately will go underappreciated. Is
Well,
Kaiser as a rookie with a rookie team, basically. A rookie
Well, that's why we need to
One
try to
car
appreciate
effort,
it.
New
If-
car makes it.
If him or because I think the 2 most likely to get bumped if it comes down to brass tacks is Clayman DeMello and Kaiser,
Yeah.
because those are the 2 with the least amount of experience and essentially they're out on their own on terms of setup. So if they make it, if either one of those drivers makes it or both of them make it, I think we need to celebrate that because they really
I've
earned
got
it.
a quick
the last
point
row
there.
party
What?
will mean something.
That you were talking earlier about someone else qualifying a car and then changing drivers. They don't like it if you try to have a veteran qualify the car and then put a rookie in for the
Oh,
race.
they don't.
So
No.
you couldn't have Tristan Vautier come in and qualify the coin car and then say, Clayman DeMello is going to run the race for us.
But they could do that.
They
Vautier
frown
got
upon it,
sick.
but
They could do that. that
Vautier
stuff.
got sick overnight.
Right.
Well, they could do that.
He
Yeah,
had
I was gonna
vertigo.
say that. Dale Coyne has done that in the past. If you remember,
He's moved drives around, but
who's
Huertas.
Yeah, that eye injury or whatever he had was
ear infection.
But it was among veterans.
Yes, it was-
Yeah, he
yes.
moved. He gave Dave. Actually, it was funny because Vautier qualified a car that was
For
planned
Davison.
for Davison, and then
Huertas
Davis
qualified.
and then Vautier took that ride.
Alright, I got the next one, and I actually want.
Yeah, go for it.
Alright,
Next question.
so it would not be an IndyCar red pill without some controversy.
Oh, I love
Oh
controversy.
boy.
Okay.
Here we go.
So, do we think Lewis Hamilton would win every week if he was an IndyCar driver?
No.
I want to
No.
say
No.
no,
No.
because here's the thing: Lewis Hamilton is in the best car. He's not as good as everyone says he is.
Well, he's on Alonso's level, and Alonso didn't win the first time out.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I'm
so-
going to say this: Lewis Hamilton. He said he would never do this race. He looks down on IndyCar because it's not to his, like. He underestimates it, and Alonso.
It's kind of the Gunther Steiner thing with.
It's
Yeah.
more of a farm boy thing that he's used to. Even
Yeah.
though it's not.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny is he always talks about he wants to do the Daytona 500. I'm like, what?
Whoops.
Yeah.
Oh no, there goes our lighting.
Uh-oh.
We're all good.
Okay,
So, Lewis Hamilton, honestly, he could not hang an IndyCar. Alonso could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Alonso's not a closed-minded prick.
Alonso's a racer too. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if Hamilton. It's weird. Hamilton is one of those guys who's more passionate about F1 than he is about racing.
Yeah.
There are guys like that.
And-
PK is, or not PK. Prost is a
Yeah.
great example of that. He doesn't really seem to care about anything but F1. When you look at a PK or a Mansell, they seem to want to diversify. So, and again, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to say his name so I don't get him in trouble, but I know a guy who has met and dealt with Lewis Hamilton on multiple occasions, and I said he seems more interested in being a flashy, I'm rich rap artist than an F1 driver, and he said that's exactly
Yeah.
what he's like.
Well, and
Um,
Chris Cook would appreciate this, that Lewis doesn't always outclass Valtteri Bottas, they
No.
have the same cars.
Yeah.
So I don't think you drop Lewis into an Indy car and he just outclasses everybody in the field.
Yeah, and that's a good measuring stick, by the way. And that,
I want to say this about Alonso. Everybody can say what they want about him. I know Alonso. I was thrilled that he was here. I'm a little bit frustrated with how other series, WEC, are handling him. But Alonso is a fantastic driver. He's a world-class guy. He's a fantastic human being. We've actually met him a year ago yesterday. And Alonso as a person, he is one of the best personalities in the motorsports paddock. And he's also willing to expand his horizons to do things that is out of his comfort zone. And there's not many drivers that will do it. Lewis Hamilton, for
well, in
God's sure will.
F1, in F1 they want
To
diversity.
add to that, and I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here, so I'll try to keep it quick.
Okay.
With the Indy 500, this is the 102nd running coming up. It's been around for 107 years now.
Yeah.
And the Speedway's been around for almost 110.
Yeah.
And
It'll be
in order
110
to
next
race
year.
there, you need to have respect for the race, respect for the history, respect for all the people who've lost their lives trying to get into this, and understand that this is the biggest race in the world, whether you want to admit it or not. And it's something that you really have to respect and understand, because when you win it, look at Alexander Rossi. Nobody really knew who he was until he won the Indy 500.
Yeah.
And same thing for so many of the people who have won in the past. And that's why I think it made certain people, like it made so many people.
I mean,
AJ Foyt.
Even last year with Sato, because he
Yeah.
was just sort of like
So-
he
Well,
was
that
really-
made people kind of realize that, oh, maybe
Well,
this guy isn't a
people
joke.
looked
But
at
now
him-
he's like a superstar. back
People
in
looked at
Japan.
him, looked like he was a Formula One reject. He was sort of he's just sort of a fill-in at Andretti. He was people thought he's at Andretti just because of the free Honda engine.
We talked about McLaren and IndyCar last night, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah, we did. Okay,
we
just
talked
making
about
sure.
it.
I'd seen that question. I couldn't remember when they announced
But
that.
the thing I want to end with is where I can respect Alonso is that he understood that and he embraced it. And he knew if he won that race, that he just wouldn't be Fernando Alonso, two-time world champion. He would be Fernando Alonso, Indianapolis 500 champion.
And then the
That
two-time world
means-
champion
yeah,
falling points
and-
somewhere
yeah,
else.
so, and I don't know if Hamilton could understand and respect him.
Yeah, I mean,
Being kind of as F1 centered.
by the way, I seen this in the comments ago. Fernando sure as hell enjoyed himself here. He really did.
There's literally an article that says he wants to come. He's missing it.
Oh yeah.
So-
He,
I
he
mean-
had a good time. You could tell.
He loved
it.
But in essence of with the Lewis Hamilton thing, I think this comment will sum it up for all of us. Lewis Hamilton doesn't have the balls.
We don't want him here. I think
No,
Well, I wouldn't say we don't. I'd accept it. I'd be like, come on, Hamilton, give me some YouTube views.
Yeah,
Yeah, show me what you got.
Yeah, I mean, bring Petronas and all this stuff with you.
Bring Mercedes back.
So there's actually
Oh no, Steve doesn't want that.
there's actually
I would kiss his feet if he brought Mercedes.
there's two things that are going on right now. What will Danica do at Indy, and what's happening with Connor Daly?
Unremarkable day, 14th. Connor Daly may be bumped. About as simple as I can
was
put
gonna
it.
say, Connor, if he makes it, he'll be back marker. Danica, middle pack, maybe top 10 if she gets lucky with field strategy.
From
Oh, and let me say this real quick about Danica. They're going to short pit her as soon as possible. They're going to short pit her as soon as possible. They're going to try to do 2005 and 2011 again, but this time make it work. I guarantee you.
Or
Um,
2016.
Well, no, but I'm talking about the specific races that Danica
Yeah.
led
Yeah.
on fuel strategy.
Except they're going to do it right this time.
By the way,
Every-
this is Indy 500 month.
Yeah.
We're not talking about NASCAR. So.
But we just talked about Formula One
Yeah,
for
come
a
on, we
good
can-
10 minutes.
but-
Come on,
it had to relate with
we're
it.
race fans. I think we can all talk about.
Well, it depends.
Yeah.
It depends if it's relevant to the conversation. The actual
Is it
question
relevant
was,
to the
would
conversation?
Hamilton do Indy? Yeah.
Ever since Danica announced that she was going to drive car 13, I thought position 13 fits just perfectly. She has shown me nothing to say that's not wrong.
well,
she keeps
if
running
we're going
12th to
that-
14th in
If we're
the.
going to that, car 13 at Indy, no good. And green cars at Indy, in case you don't know, the last car to win or do well at Indy that was green was what, 1965?
Yeah, Jim Clark.
So green cars are cursed. I don't want to go through the whole deal with that, but 13 and green, two curses may equal victory.
And if you want to go,
Just need peanuts.
and if you want to go back in the pit, if you want to go back
Pistachios.
in the past, women didn't used to be allowed in the pits because of a superstition. So you've got, and we're not advocating that obviously,
Well,
but
for-
like that's
I
just a
think,
history part of the
I think
sport.
it's pistachios that are also another superstition there.
Just
Maybe
nuts
that's
in general. Just nuts in
Just
general.
if she eats nothing.
Jim Crawford got in some
Don't
trouble
take
for
this
having
in
a
the
planter
wrong way.
sponsorship one year.
Let's
Right?
not take
Jeez,
this
that's
in the
right.
wrong way. If she eats nothing but nuts, like I said, don't take that in the wrong way. Ann drives a green 13, and she's a woman, and she wins.
Okay.
All the superstitions will be gone.
Okay, so here's a question I've seen actually quite a bit. Who's the next guy to do the double? Everyone's saying Larson. No,
I don't think.
no.
I think Larson maybe got scared by Dixon's crash last
Well,
year.
no.
Okay.
I honestly. Oh, by the way,
so we
actually,
need a canopy now.
wait. I got it. I'm gonna borrow Davis' shtick here. But Kyle Larson did run the Indy 500 2 years ago in the 42 Tresima car.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we told
Oh
him.
yeah, that was a joke.
Who's a serious double contender? Let's leave Larson out of it because I think that's the one everybody wants
I'll
to
give
see.
mine. This just comes from a simple interaction I had with a man at Richmond in 2017. Brad Keselowski. He tested an Indy car at Road America in 2016, I think. And I asked him, will you ever do the double? And he said, if I win another championship, Roger will let me. So, I think either that will happen. I mean, we know Roger has a car. We know Brad will have sponsorship, whether it's Discount Tire or Miller Lite or Worth or whatever.
I can't say.
I would say either Keselowski or Kyle Busch.
Yeah. Well, you know that Kyle Busch was going to run the 16,500. Joe Gibbs said,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
because Joe Gibbs had originally said, "Hey, if you win a championship, you can run the Indy 500."
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
he
no.
came back, and apparently he had sponsorship, and I think it was with M&M's.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Oh,
that could have
boy.
been a good-looking car.
what a shame.
But
What a shame.
PK and KB, the two Burger Kings, and
Well, here's another
you
question.
know what I mean.
Well, here's another question. I'll let you guys answer that question real quick. What about Kurt Busch? Would he come back? I think
Yes.
he's willing.
I
Yeah,
he has
think he
unfinished
would too,
business.
Yeah, well, he finished in 6th in his first 500.
And he drove a very conservative race.
He did.
I think by his own admission. I'm not
Yeah, and that's the
knocking on
thing.
him.
To
I think
me
it's a
is,
smart idea.
I feel like his double was underappreciated because he comes here into a brand new element, finishes 6th, qualified I think 12th,
Yeah.
and he.
Should have started 33 because he went to a bag of
But
garbage.
he did very well. He had one big wreck, but he learned from his mistake. And
Well, he did it in practice. If
and
you're
then
gonna
he went
crash
to
it, do it in
Charlotte,
practice.
And he got bleeped. He got bleeped because his engine went.
Okay, I got this. My pick on the next guy to do the double in the same day is somebody who has competed in both races, and I can realistically see him running with Mike Shank because he is racing with Mike
Oh,
Shank.
I know, yeah. No,
AJ Allman.
he'll
makes
never
it
do
happen.
it. He'll never do it. He said he would never drive in a car without a roof again after Justin.
Yeah.
That's
Really?
not-
I didn't know
Well,
that.
actually, never mind. He's not in NASCAR anymore. I was going to say,
Well-
just as a throwback to the IRL, Casey Mears.
Well, speaking of
Well, you're halfway through what I was thinking.
oh,
'cause
then
I
I'll
thought
let you say it because I was about to say.
Casey Kane.
Yeah.
But that would be pending that he doesn't lose his NASCAR ride
Yeah,
first.
yeah. Well, hey, remember, there was a rumor in last offseason that he would be doing a part-time IndyCar schedule. So
But,
Casey Kane has already been toeing the water apparently. So.
Yeah, and he does race open wheel cars.
Yeah.
On the side.
Yeah.
of
And,
NASCAR,
and,
so-
and I will say that I think it's fairly interesting that we're going to have a couple of short track stars in the Freedom 100 this year.
Yeah,
Chris
Chris
Windham and Davey Hamilton Jr.
Yeah, well, Davey Hamilton does the stock car kind of thing. He does late models. He does do pavement
Super
sprints.
modifieds?
Super modifieds.
Stadium Super Trucks.
Yeah, stadium super trucks. He does basically everything but dirt sprints. But
Yeah.
Wyndham does dirt sprints and pavement sprints. He's won the Little 500 twice, so
And you would assume that he's next in line for that Bilardi
I
Floyd
think
car.
it's going to be Chris Wyndham.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be the next Brian Clausen person.
Now, I've always said this about dirt guys, and I think I said it in last night's stream, so I won't spend too long about it. They need to develop the dirt guys, though. They need to give them lots and lots of experience before they move them up to Indy cars, because
Yeah,
otherwise
and
you run into
that's-
trouble.
I agree with that. Like, in my opinion,
Because I think they can make it. I think they're some of the most
Yeah.
talented guys in the world, but they're just not talented
so
in the right ways.
I'm going to put on my Robin Miller hat here.
Uh-oh. Here we
I'm
go.
gonna
Brady
say
Bacon.
Chris Wyndham is not the guy to do this because he's not that great on the pavement. Cody Swanson wins every pavement sprint car race, every pavement Silver Crown race. Or Bobby Santos, but he doesn't have money. But Swanson does, and I think Swanson should be the shoe-in, and I think that they should run him on a couple road courses, all the ovals and Indy Lights for 2 years or so before
Yeah.
picking him up into the
Yeah.
IndyCar series.
That's the way it needs to be done. And again, it always comes down to funding, doesn't it? So let's do a couple more questions and then wrap it up because we've almost gone for an hour, which is longer than last night.
Well, we have more guests.
Well, that's true. We've had more things to say. So, Kevin, do we have anything particularly interesting? Oh, I'll say this one because this will be a pretty quick, easy one. Will the 96 4-lap average ever fall?
No.
That's a no from Steve.
Maybe.
We came close with 2015 on the trajectory they were on, and then as soon as cars are going in the fence, that's not happening.
I will say with the new engines that were proposed in 2020 or whatever year that's going to happen.
Yeah, which 2021 is the projected right
Yeah,
now.
so not with this car, well, not with this engine, but this car, I think has the capability of doing it.
But the car definitely has the
Yeah.
capability to do it. If they put the normally aspirated Honda V8 in there, I think
And
they would.
also
They
if
would
Or if
do
they
it.
got road
Has,
course boost for quality.
Or if they had a road course boost.
Yeah, and
That's the funny thing. That
Right.
actually is a misnomer that people think that the road course boost. It's actually a lower boost pressure, so they're running about probably 700 horsepower in qualifying trim. They run about 750, almost 800 horsepower in road course trim.
By the way,
so
if you spam your question, that's gonna decrease your chances of it getting asked. Anyways,
But,
Advice from Kevin.
To finish your
Yeah.
point about the qualifying record, yeah,
Oh,
this body
real-
kit, or V8 engines, and if the driver can fit their nuts in the car, because it's going to take some big balls to break that. record.
real quick, Joey of the Priuses, and this is a personal one that's important to me. Baltasar Linguansman. You don't know that name, and I barely do, but he posted a photo recently of himself and Buddy Lazier's car from last year. Now, there are some rumors that this man has a lot of money. I believe he's Portuguese or something like that.
Right.
And he's got a ton of money. He's talked to the Laziers, and there are rumors, have been rumors since last year, that Lazier Racing will be doing Portland and Sonoma with Balthazar in the car, with the idea that he would pay for a new chassis for them to get them in the race for next year, possibly with
So
Buddy
it'd be,
driving, or maybe Flynn.
would
Probably
be
not
an
Flynn.
If that was the plan, why wouldn't he have bought him a new car to run the 500?
I'm guessing he wants to get something out of it before they,
He
what if
he
Buddy
wants-
writes the car off again? That's
well,
the
he wants
question.
to look good, not get bumped.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's
okay.
that's the reason they didn't show up this year, because they didn't want to do what they did in 2015, which is show up, you put the car together in the garage,
Right.
and
Thing
get
is too,
not make the show
remember in
anyway.
2015 he showed up like today,
Mhm.
and then last 2 years he showed up Monday.
Yeah, he had 2016 they had the car on track the first day.
Yeah.
So, and 2016 was a pretty big unfortunate
Okay.
deal
So
Yeah.
I actually
for
have
them.
2 questions. The first one is really easy. What happened to Buddy Rice? I can answer that easily. He's now a spotter for Dreyer and Reinbold, more specifically Sage Karam.
And I think he's on one of the JDC Pro Mazdas. He's a good
Yeah.
engineer. So
Well, Buddy Rice is kind of one of those interesting. He's going to be one of those forgotten Indy 500 winners that really shouldn't have been forgotten. He broke his back in 2005 during practice for the Indy 500.
And Kenny Brack filled in for him.
Yeah, and you think about how fast Danica and Vitor Mira, who would have been his teammates, were that year,
And Kenny was the fast qualifier in the field.
and he was. So you think he would have at least gotten the pole probably, and let's assume that his car doesn't break like Brack's does. He probably goes back to back in Indy 500 wins, and then we talk about Buddy Rice in a completely different
My thing with
way
Buddy
of.
Rice, he wasn't a bad driver. The team was bad. The team failed him. He was on track to win the championship in 04, I want to say.
Yeah, he crashed at Nazareth though, and that really hurt him.
Yeah.
Really hurt him.
So.
Or was that Pikes Peak? It was one of the short tracks. I
So
can't
anyway, to
remember.
put it simply, Buddy Rice is around. Have a Rice day.
Yeah.
Okay, so this comment's funny. Buddy Lazier entire 2000 or Buddy Rice's entire 2004 season is the textbook definition of one-hit wonder.
To
No,
some
he won 3
extent.
races
To some
that year.
extent.
He
Okay,
won 3 races.
so
Yeah,
also
that's what he's saying, is that
Kansas-
1 year was his magic year,
Yeah,
and
the team went
went to Danica.
All right.
yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Let's find one to end on. Let's find one to
Okay,
end on.
I had one ask about the LED panels. All right, so the
These are
LED
all
panels.
dead on arrival, gone.
Okay, hold on. So what happened with those was they're brand new for this year, but they have been malfunctioning majorly, so they just took them off the car. They might return one day.
Rumor is from Tony Kanaan that it caught on fire.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they were messing with the electrical parts of the car, which, ironically enough, that was another situation that happened when they debuted the DW12 with some of the onboard cameras they were trying, particularly one that looked through the wishbones of the suspension. They ran it at St. Pete. Every single car that ran that camera failed.
Okay,
Did you know that?
so
yeah,
when
that's
can-
interesting.
When can Indy 500 not be run on a circle track? You are stupid.
Yeah, that's a bad question to end on. Let's
What are you seeing?
let's find it. Let's get a good question to end on. Because
No. I was just pointing out that whoever said that, I'm sorry, but
Yeah,
you might want to get that checked
Okay.
out.
You mean there won't be an Indy 500 street race someday?
No. That's not-
500 miles on a street. That would be amazing.
Okay, here we go. We've got we've got a couple. Do you want to talk about good Indy 500 travel tips or expectation for tomorrow, or do you want to? If we can do it quickly, we can do both.
Both.
Okay, so travel tips for the Indy 500 first. Steve, go.
Get there as early as you can on race day.
Bring lots of water, sunscreen, and also bring like 1,000 Sharpies if you want to get autographs because they're easy to lose.
Yeah, same thing kind of as them. Just come, get there early, enjoy the sights, especially if you're here for the 500 only. Walk around the track, get your pictures early, get to your seats early, and the second the winner has to milk, get out.
or wait till the
Yeah,
last
we're
round
gonna-
guys.
We're gonna wait 2 hours.
Somebody
Yeah,
knows
basically-
someone knows where we are.
Basically,
No, they
you're
don't.
either
Yeah.
if you leave quick, you're gonna be in a little traffic, but home two. Anyway, David, you travel for the 500, so
Yeah,
Don't go
so
to Taco
so
Bell
just,
at night.
just go early. Again, I think I'll echo what they say. Go early, go often, and enjoy yourself. I actually spoke to a fan from New Zealand today. Had flown in from New Zealand, so that's shout out to you, good sir. If you're in the chat or watching later, enjoyed talking to you, and I guess we'll see you at Newcastle. We made a bit of a deal to go there. So, what are we doing here?
Oh yeah, there's one more.
We were going to talk about
Expectations. Yeah.
Expectations for tomorrow. Steve, go.
For tomorrow,
Yeah, for tomorrow.
more of the same. I don't know. I don't see a reason.
Okay.
We don't have qualifying boost yet. I think it's just going to be more running in traffic.
Kev?
I think we're gonna start to see him trim out a little bit more than we have. Maybe someone's gonna chance it with fully trimmed out. The reason I say that is might as well trim it out and see how the car feels before you get the extra horsepower
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
at least get a feel for the car then, so you actually have somewhat of an idea what you're getting into when you do get the extra boost. And someone's gonna eat it tomorrow too.
Brody.
basically kind of what they said, except I think in the beginning half of the day,
Original.
we're gonna see them trimming out and kind of starting to get a basis for their qualifying. But happy hour, we're gonna see them add downforce and go back out. The whole line, the choo-choo train's gonna be coming around the track for Atlas.
And I will echo Kevin's comments that I think the first crash of the month will happen tomorrow.
Friday.
Yeah,
No,
that's what
tomorrow.
I would
Friday.
do is Friday.
Well, see, last year it was
We're
Newgarden.
divided.
I believe in the middle of the week they put it in the wall on race booth. So I feel like somebody's gonna take a chance
Friday
tomorrow.
version.
I honestly think that they're going to start to trim it out so they can get a feel for the car.
Well, but I think it's gonna happen in traffic. I think it's either gonna happen in kind of the
Team
rush.
Friday versus Team Newgarden.
Well, I think if the crash happens tomorrow.
Oh,
It's team-
it's
it's team-
So if
no, no.
Newgarden makes it through tomorrow, then it's not going to be Team Friday.
There you go.
It's Team Friday versus Team Eat Shit Newgarden.
Yeah, well, I think traditionally we
Or
see
both.
we will see a crash prior to noon, the lunch break, pretty much, because everybody goes hard and goes pack racing because that's right around the time the race starts. So that's a good time to get some data, and then the happy hour we usually see a big crash as well. So we'll see. I think the first car is going to hit the wall
I think it's
tomorrow.
Friday morning.
Friday morning. Well,
I just think
that's
someone's gonna be trimmed out with the boost, and they're gonna be in the traffic.
that's
cut off
Friday.
hard.
Friday and Saturday morning are going to be the most treacherous times. If you are gonna watch online, I would say absolutely
Well,
watch Friday morning
this-
and Saturday morning. And if you're going to the track, get there early because it's gonna be
My mentality
wild.
on that is these drivers already know how these cars handle in hot and in chilly.
But they don't know what they're gonna do with 50 to 70 more horsepower.
Yeah, exactly. I think someone's gonna go into the corner, be caught off guard, do what Zach Beach did and just chase it up, or just
Bourdais.
lose it, or
Yeah.
do what Piggott did and just lose it altogether.
Yeah. Well, it's better to lose it altogether because Piggott had the same situation that happened with Bourdais, but you saw Buddy Lazier do the same thing in the race. They were obviously Piggott was
but
smart
Buddy
and Buddy was
understood.
experienced. They didn't turn into it. They
Buddy
just let it
understood,
go.
just
Let it go.
That's
You've
exactly
already
what
lost
he
it,
should've
and
done.
you're just gonna make it worse if you steer into it.
Yeah.
So.
By the way, David Land's preparing a fan meetup on Friday.
Yeah, I am planning a fan meetup. If you wanna meet me in real life,
And me, because I'm gonna be.
we're gonna do some SIK karting. That was a very congested episode of
hilarious.
IndyCar Red Pill. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, 162 people watching, only 96 likes. Hit that freaking like
Hey,
button.
96, Buddy Lazier.
Oh, Buddy Lazier, yeah. Actually, don't hit the like button. No, never mind. Let's get 191 likes. But anyway, so big day tomorrow. Another practice day. Kind of the last real race prep day until Monday. So it's going to be an important day, and we're going to see, I think, a lot of traffic.
Someone made
So,
a big comment.
As everybody smells each other back
Oh, you
here,
were the-
we're gonna let you guys go. Thank you guys so much for watching for an hour and 9 minutes. Good Lord, what are you guys doing with your lives? And
Watching 4 dumbbells in a hotel room.
this is quite true. We'll see you for more Indy 500 month coverage later on in the month. Thank you guys for watching.
Thanks for saying we kick ass.